Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining the channel today. I'm Dane, your host of the Rocky Metal Guardian. Today is another episode, as promised, in my mini-series back-to-back, the greatest album pairs of all time, and I think it's number 7. And again, before we get into today's band, I will tell you it is another British band, and we're going to talk about, in case you're new to the series, what are the qualifications for being considered, in my estimation, my humble opinion, what are the qualifications for being considered the best album pairs of all time? Here they are. 1, they have to be back-to-back in the discography. 2, they have to complement one another, or another way of saying that is they have to be companion albums. The next is that the second one in the chronology has to pick up where the previous one left off, not 100%, but in sense of maybe production, if not production, guitar tone, phrasing of vocals, same sound. You're not changing from, say, hard rock to blues or hard rock to synths and new wave, that sort of thing. And you know, has to have that same overall vibe, atmosphere, and what you expect from the band in that part of their catalog. Could have been a double album as the next one. You can play them as a double album, and both must be seminal works. And again, there's no order or ranking to this series, just as I feel I want to present them. So today's band is UFO. Of course, I'm talking about Phenomenon. And then the follow-up to that is Force It. And when I get to a certain track on Phenomenon, I'm going to talk about how this is the song that got me into the band and that particular album. But I'll come to that because it's, without telling the story, it really doesn't give the whole spiel, if you will, as to what makes this band so enticing. All right, so let's talk about Phenomenon. Now, as many of you know, if you're a UFO fan, and at least in the articles that I've read, and other people talking, critics and that sort of thing, fans, whether it's this album or others, definitely this album, there's at least 2 songs, and the band didn't go into details in explaining which songs they did this for, but the band was known at this time period the band was known during this time period for these 2 albums, especially Phenomenon, where Schenker would go in the studio and lay out a guitar solo, and then the rest of the band would write a song around that particular guitar solo. So let's go ahead and start with track 1, Oh My. This is a song I used to skip. In fact, as you'll see, most of these songs I would skip when I first bought the album because I just wanted to hear one track, and I think you know what that track is, but I'll come to that in a part of the story and the enticing of getting me to hear the whole album, that sort of thing. So this opening track, Oh My, I think it's a nice rock song. Theme about how the times have changed. It's not the first rock song to talk about that. This is a song you can tap your feet to. You can slowly nod your head up and down, not full-blown head banging, but that slow kind of feel like, yeah, you just get into it. It's a great song. I think it's a great song, underrated. A lot of people I know will skip this one and go into the next song, which is a better song, but we'll get to that. In Oh My, I think you have some great guitar here. And it's the best part of the song, guitar work, go figure. It's Michael Schenker, and it's a long guitar solo as well. Next is Crystal Light. As I said, it's a better song. It's more emotive. It's more enticing, grabbing and pulling at your emotional makeup, if you will. You got this acoustic beauty of a song. Fabulous chorus. Moog's vocals, Moog or Moog, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, his last name, but anyway, his vocals never get enough credit. And here, well, we know his vocals if you're a UFO fan are just phenomenal, but here they're even more. He like brings it up a couple levels based from what we know and love about him. Just he's adding the even more of a special touch, I think, to emphasizing and getting us involved in what he has to sing and share about, right? So, and you get the electric guitar solo at just past the 2.5 minute mark. And I just love it. So it goes from acoustic to electric, and this guitar solo is very emotional. Not exactly the same way that Alex Lifeson pours his heart and soul into at the 3 minute mark guitar solo of La Via Strangiato on Exit Stage Left. It's very similar though here. It just the way that Schenker plays, I think he's pouring his heart and soul into that guitar piece there. Anyway, so that's Crystal Light. Next is Dr. Doctor, and as we know, this is a song that inspired and influenced both Def Leppard and Iron Maiden. They were big UFO fans. You have that slow build-up intro of the song, and then it gets to that. The slow build-up isn't that long, but it's meant to, pull you in, right? It's the hook, and then it goes into that heavy paced part. It's quasi-fast. The overall lyrical content is cliched. There are other songs we know in rock and roll, and I'm okay with it, where someone's pleading with their doctor, hey, I'm lovesick, what can you do about it? Robert Palmer's Dr. Doctor, tell me the news, I got a bad case of loving you, right? That kind of thing, but I like it. And the drums in the mix, I think, are just phenomenal. Next is Space Child, a song I would skip often. At one point all the time. Anyway, the lyrics, I love the song now, and I have since for a very long time. When I first got the album, I would always skip the song, and then something happened that allowed me to, hey, I need to listen to the rest of the album. We'll talk about that soon. The lyrics here are as brief as the lyrics are, because most of the song is just Schenker's guitar work, his solo, and then this is one of the songs where the band wrote the rest of the music around the solo, as I was talking about at the beginning. And I think Oh My is the same way. I think Oh My and Space Child are the two songs that they were referring to in that article that I read 30 years ago, because it seems to be the case. If you listen to it, yeah, they did the solo first, and then because of the sparse lyrics, especially with Space Child, it seems to be my theory. So anyway, you don't have a lot of lyrics here, but the lyrics that you do have are very emotional, and they tug at you. Space Child ages as he turns and faces the lie. After laughter was caught in his throat as he died. Very moving, and it works with the slow parts of the song. It's a shell of a story, as I said, and because it's a shell of a story because there isn't a lot of lyrics, and it lacks details, and yet despite that, as I said, it's very moving, it's very enticing, it's very emotive. The highlight is the guitar solo, of course, and it's long, it's over 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes. Was something I was going to say. It's a thing of beauty. Then you get the return to the singing, and then the song ends with that acoustic-like feel to it. This song for me never gets old. So now we finally come to the highlight of the album, and as you probably know, most of us would argue it's Rock Bottom. Same for me. And so Rock Bottom is the first UFO song I ever heard. I would always go into the record stores on a weekly basis to just look at, and for the longest time, and of course I'm talking about when I'm in high school or younger, I'm 13, 14 years old, and this is on vinyl in the record shop, and I would always pass it up. But I always come and look at it. And then later on, force it as well, but at a different record store in a different part of town. But I always would see this one, oops. And I would go, I wonder what, and the album cover is not pleasing to the eye. But of course you can't judge a book or an album by its cover, right? And so I would give it a pass. And lo and behold, 4 or 5 years later go by, I graduated from high school, and we're out playing pool somewhere, and I hear Rock Bottom come on the jukebox, and I'm going, where has this song been my whole life? Who the hell is this, right? So I investigate, and lo and behold, I go back to the record shop where this is, and I pick it up on vinyl. But the problem is that the only song I would play is Rock Bottom. I didn't want to listen to anything else. And my dad talked me into, like, son, you might be missing out on some. He doesn't like this. He didn't like this music. but he liked other rock stuff, but which I won't go into. But he's like, son, you got to get your money's worth. Listen to the rest of the album. So I did, and boy, was he right. This is one of my favorite albums of all time by the band. And so when I finally listened to Space Child, I was like, wow, I've been missing this all along. So, and then the rest of it too. So Rock Bottom and Space Child are my two favorite songs on here. But I like the whole album, as I said. So Rock Bottom, as you know, is a heavy song. The opening riff is just, right? It's just great. And the lyrics are interesting. You have and captivating despite they're very morbid. You have just one sweet kiss on your cold clay lips. Just wow. And from opening to ending, the song, from start to finish, the song is heavy. It's enticing. It just pulls you in and grabs you and never lets go. Right. The open guitar again is one of the best ever. Pete Way's bass is phenomenal. It's my favorite song by them of all time. I love it that much. The solo begins at 2 minutes and 37 seconds, and I counted them, give or take, I think you have 6 to 7 different gears. Just when you think Schenker in his guitar solo has brought it to the peak of where he wants the song to be, the peak of the solo, I mean, then there's another gear, and then there's another gear, and then there's 3 or 4 more, right? It's like, wow, it's just mind-blowing. And that's why I had to buy this album at the young age of 18 when I first heard it on the jukebox. And the solo ends at 4:53. So from 2:37 to 4:53 with about 6 or 7 different gears. Just when you think Schenker's done, he's reached the peak of the solo. Nope, he's got more to add and raise the bar, right? It's like, wow. The drums and bass underneath are fabulous. And then you get back to that heavy riffing. And then you get the unwinding at the end of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then the song's over. Fabulous song. And I'm a big Supernatural fan, the TV show, when it came on. And I remember at first going, I'll give the show a hard pass. And then a friend of mine invited me over for dinner, and he was watching this. And then the episode, it's like the 3rd or 4th episode. I think it's the one with the Wendigo. And the opening scene, Sam and Dean are driving their Impala down the street. And what happens? They're playing the songs. Like, yep, I'm in from now on, and I end up liking the show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. So there's the connection to that. The next song is Too Young to Know. N-O, not K-N-O-W. This is a nice little rocker. It's a sing-along song. Schenker's tone, we love, permeates the song and, of course, the whole album. That's all I have to say about the song. Next is Time on My Hands. I think this is unrelated. This is an underrated gem. It's a sing-along song, but different from the previous one because it's a sad song, depressing blues song. It's very emotive. Love's Left Me Cold is part of the lyrics. Tear in my hands. He's sitting at the bar with a sailor, and he's pouring over his, he's spilling his guts about being heartbroken or whatever, has happened to his love life. It's fallen apart, right? The acoustic guitar here is wonderful. I never get tired of the song. I love it. Next is Built for Comfort, the Willie Dixon cover. It's a bluesy song about a car, but yet it's really not about a car. It's about the speaker's drive, and I'll leave it at that. It's a song for the ladies. The chorus, don't need no diamonds, don't need no gold, got a whole lot of loving, got a whole lot of soul. Built for comfort, built for speed, right? Great song. Next is Lipstick Traces. This is an instrumental piece, my least favorite part of the album. It's acoustic mostly, but layered with some electric that follows up later on the song. It's not very long, couple minutes, right? And for the most part, I guess you can see this, at least the way I see it, this is an intro to the next song, really, which is Queen of the Deep. So that's how I treat the song. I will, in a similar vein that Electric Phase is the pairing with Love to Love on Lights Out. You could argue that. So let's talk about Queen of the Deep. Great guitar intro. And then first 2 words out of Phil's mouth, heaven knows, why I'm left here in this place. Great bluesy rocker, pulls you in, want to know what's going on, what's the story, Phil. His voice, like the previous one I mentioned, again, his voice is always great, but here, Phil has really stepped things up like 4 notches more, right? It's just fabulous. It's a slow song mostly, and yet it's mesmerizing. You have this odd guitar. The opening part of the guitar solo is odd. It's kind of chittery and staccato, but then, wow, it takes off. It's really great. It's not as great as Rock Bottom, but it's really cool. I like it, and it's a long solo too. So the song overall meanders a bit. There's kind of this dun 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 dun, and then you get the guitar solo, and it's back to that. But then the true gem of the song, and this is why I play it, because I'm anticipating the end of the song. It's only a few seconds, but then you get this kick-ass riff at the end where it goes something like dun 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 dun, and then it ends. It's just so I play the song mainly because I'm waiting for the heavy part to kick in. It's brief, but it's so worth the wait. So I love this song. Okay, so that's Phenomenon. Next you get Force It, and it starts off with the fabulous Let It Roll. It begins with that heavy sustain, and you get some chugging bass, drums, and guitar here. It's just phenomenal. And then, of course, at the beginning, you have Schenker, sliding his pick from one part of the string all the way up to the top. That cliched stuff we love in metal. I love it. Never gets old for me. Schenker's guitar tone, his effects, the production here, it's right where the previous album left off. It's what makes this song. And the whole album, production-wise, is great. I would say it's a step up in production, or 2 or 3 from Phenomena, but you still get that same tone and vibe and atmosphere. It's just the clarity is better. The next song is Shoot Shoot. The rhythm section is what makes the song, the bass and drums. It's a sing-along chorus. The main riff would later be plagiarized by the Runaways after Cherie Currie left the band on their song Wasted from 1977. This is when Joan Jett is fighting with the guitar player. Her name, Lita Ford, right? Sorry. And over whether Joan Jett, I have a Joan Jett Funko Pop over here, that's what I'm looking at. Joan Jett wanted the band to stay more punk-oriented, and Lita Ford wanted to be more metal-oriented now that Cherie Currie's out of the band and Joan is on vocals. And riffs cannot be copyrighted, and yet, UFO came first, so plagiarized. I still like both songs, but I like this song better, because I'm more of a UFO fan than I am the Runaways, although I do like the Runaways. They're one of my few punk bands that I like. So this album came out in 1975, and then the song Wasted, I forget the name of the album, comes out in 77, so there's a 2-year difference. Again, riffs are not under copyright law, but I love the song. Rock Bottom is to Phenomenon what Shoot Shoot. Well, actually, I take that back. Shoot Shoot is number 2 on my favorite songs on this album. Sorry, but I'll get to the one that's my rock bottom of this album. But anyway, Shoot Shoot is a great song. High Flyer, acoustic intro, sad, slow, and depressing, yet a great song. It's very emotive. Sings about I'm so far out to sea. I love it. You have this great chorus. And your every melody, right? He's singing to a woman about how, man, what would a woman's reaction be if a guy told her, and your every melody? That's so romantic, right? At least I think so. Anyway, the next song is Love Lost Love. I don't have much to say about the song. It's an okay song. It's a song about Saturday nights, very cliched. I enjoy it. Typical rock and roll. I'll skip it sometimes. Next is Out in the Street. Lyrics are the best part of the song. It's not their best song, but it's good. I like it. You got some keyboards here. I think this is the first time you have keyboards in the band with their new sound, because remember, Phenomenon is a shift away from their boogie style with the first 2 albums, right? If you count the live album before that, 3 albums. Phil Mogg's voice here is fabulous once again, and the riff is real cool too. Then you get the highlight of the album. What Rock Bottom is to Phenomenon, this song is to Force It, and I'm talking about Mother Mary. Great lyrics. I listen to this every time, and I think to myself, wow, what a gem. Some of Schenker's best guitar work here, top 5, top 10. The chorus is fantastic. The lyrics, Mother Mary, could you even really feel the same? Would you try to understand the wild colonial boy? Great lyrics. It's the highlight of the album, as I said. Next is Too Much of Nothing. This is underrated, I think. The lyrics and the chorus, but the whole world keeps on turning. I just roll along. I love it. The song's about trying to get someone to listen and understand their plight. The delivery from Ogue is fabulous here. The drums and bass are great. The next song, I'm kind of hit or miss with this. Dance Your Life Away. It's okay. But what really makes the album, if you have the version that I have with the bonus tracks, is actually, it's not a bonus track. I take that back. The final song on this album, before the bonus tracks, is This Kid's, which includes an instrumental section called Between the Walls. And Think Again, Electric Phase, and Love to Love You from Lights Out, right? This is something that UFO starts playing with, where they have the light and shade going on, right? So it's an underrated song, as I said. You have Schenker fusing or blending different guitar styles and techniques on the song, so it makes the song so fabulous. You have the guitar solo that has some piano underneath it, layered, and then the piano returns later once it fades out. The last 2 minutes is the outro called, as I said, Between the Walls. And every time I hear this, I think to myself, wow, in the same vein that I think of Electric Phase and Love to Love You. The piano and that's fabulous as well, the keys, right? So this outro and the last part of the song with the heavy guitar and the guitar in general is slow. Heavy metal blues is the way the way I think of the song. It's just overall great. The guitar is just fabulous here. Again, I love the outro, and then part of the outro here is you have this ethereal voice. You have these ethereal voices. I just love it, and great way to end the album. So there you have it. This is my pick for today, episode 7, 2 of the greatest albums of all time, one of the best pairings of all time. Again, UFOs, Phenomenon, and Force It. All right, have a blessed day. Take care now. Bye-bye.